Good evening, Haddonfield, and everyone out there that's not from Haddonfield. Thanks for tuning in to Haddonfield Talks. We are here with the big cheese himself. I'm so excited to finally have Dave Siedell here, the man, the myth, the legend, the mayor of Haddonfield. How are you, sir?
I'm okay, but the smoke going up my skirt is starting to cloud my view. So,
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I've been looking forward to this private chat. I have to give a shout out to my co-host Chris Tempano, who's in Chicago tonight and couldn't make it with us. He does send his regards.
Well, give my regards to Broadway and to Chris.
So we've got a lot to unpack in a little time, Dave, because I feel like this is a long time coming for me, bud. But
that's all right, Chad. Hey, listen, our commissioner meetings can go 5 hours, so I can talk all night if you want.
God bless you, man. I had a lot I want to talk to you about, but I want to start. I was thinking about this on my drive over here tonight, and I remember going to these Borough Hall meetings when you weren't up on the podium at all, and you were just a citizen, but a very boisterous, a vocal, a passionate individual. Where did this all come from? Give me the whole background that led you to want to go from really passionate advocate for certain aspects and things. Like, what got you motivated? What got you going on?
Well, how long have you been in town?
I've been in town since 19, but I've been active I was active with the meetings, I would say, for about 2 years. How long have you been active at the meetings?
2009.
Oh, wow.
So I had the original Haddonfield Talks, Chad. So
I heard about that.
Not David Hunter. David Hunt.
Frank
Halston, Herb Hess, and I were moderators of the Yahoo group Haddonfield Talks. It was from 2003 until about 2009. We argued with Steve Rosenblatt, Lee Stein, God bless her soul, and a lot of folks about the same topics. Let me see: Bancroft, Grace Woods, Dogs Off Leash, the school system. Back then the taxes, you had to vote on them, and they could be 6, 7, 8% raises every year for school taxes, especially. So I've been involved for a long time. So that passion that you see is, people that have been around a long time know that I've been pretty vocal for a long time.
Where did it all come from? Was there anything specific that led you to it, or has that just been your
passion? Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in Philadelphia. My neighborhood went to hell, over the years. And, I decided anytime I go any place, you have to roll up your sleeves. There's two types of people. There are beers and there are doers. I like to be a doer. I think when I grew up, there was a polling place 2 houses down, because in Philly, you don't go to schools. You go to your neighbor's house and, you go to vote. So Election Day became my second favorite holiday. And I've always been really involved with politics. I helped Tish Columbia on 2 campaigns, Ed Borden on a campaign. I had 3 terms in the school board.
Oh, wow.
I was the president of the Civic Association. So, I started the videotaping initiative with Bill Portalot back in 2009. So I went to nearly every meeting from 2009 to 2013.
Wow. And it's just the passion. Was there anything specific in life that led you to that? Or is it just like parents or family influence, any of that?
No, you just have to give back.
Yeah.
And that's my way to get back with my big fat mouth.
Well, listen, Dave, you went from no commissioner seat to the mayor pretty quickly, man. So how did you accomplish that? What did you think led to that? Why do you think people really resonated or led you? You went from, I guess, literally nothing to the mayor like that.
No bullshit.
Yeah.
Be straight up. I'll give you my opinion, not the one you want to hear, but the one coming out of my mouth. I'll listen to you first, though. But I think I said this in my campaigns. You elected me to be the voice. Your voice. It's your opinion. It's my decision. And I think people trust that. I'll also say I probably spent. Well, I didn't think I did. I spent the least. So I think there's an earnestness that comes with humbleness, right? So this town was founded on Quaker roots, and I work for the University of Pennsylvania. Most people think it's a Quaker because it's founded by Quakers, but it's not. But Westcott's a Quaker, so we'll stick with the story. Quaker roots run deep, and the modesty, the no buttons, the sit around on the Sabbath, and listen, air your grievances, talk to your neighbor. It still works. It still works in this town because So I sit at Jersey Java every Monday.
Were you surprised you won mayor?
My surprise of mayor? No, I didn't want to be mayor, but it is what it is. But you know what it is? I'll tell you. So if you notice, I don't put mayor on stuff. If you look at my business card, mayor is a subtitle. I didn't put it on here tonight. I always say I'm mayor on Saturdays. So Saturdays is the day you cut the ribbons and people want to see the mayor out. And then the mayor just runs the meeting. So it's a cool topic. I like signing the checks better as the commissioner of revenue and finance. That's pretty cool. I sign a $4.3 million check 4 times a year. I take a picture of it every time. It's pretty cool. I don't take a picture of the whole thing. You don't get the routing number, but you get the amount and my signature.
That's pretty cool. So what are some of the things, since you've been in office now, what are the things that have been surprising you? What have your experiences been like overall?
Well, I don't know if I'm about surprised about anything. Like I said, I've been involved for a pretty long time. I will say that the feedback that I get is positive. The things that Frank Attier and I are doing have really changed. I've been elected for a year now. It's funny. I'm going to Atlantic City tomorrow for the next 3 days for the League of Municipalities. Last year I wasn't even sworn in yet. I had just been elected, but I needed to take 9 hours of classes on affordable housing. So I just went down and did it. Just to go down, I'm taking 3 days off of vacation from work to do my passion.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that you can accomplish a lot in a year.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty happy with some of the things we've accomplished.
What are some of the things that you wanted to do coming in? Do you think you've done them? You stuck to them? Have you pivoted on certain things?
Just letting people know what's going on.
Yeah.
I think people are content when they have information. Right? They might not agree with you, but if you can explain yourself, at least they'll know that you gave it thought. It might not be the conclusion they came to. It's funny. I say this a lot, and God bless her, Mary Fagan. I served on the school board with her, and I used to say we could agree on every single fact and come to completely different conclusions. And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
But you have to say what you do agree on, and then where you disagree, because my mind can be changed. My mind was changed sometimes. I won't say at a point of a gun, but a point of cold realization that we were really far down the affordable housing path. This is it. When you can look somebody in the face like I did the judge from last year when I was down in Atlantic City and just say, look at I am had it up to here. She didn't say that, but she said it. And, you just know, okay, let's salvage what we can. Let's make the best of the bad situation and then explain that to people. Now, some people might not agree. Some people just wanted it a different way. Hey, I wanted it a different way. But so the biggest thing wasn't a Bancroft decision, wasn't anything like that. It was just being able to tell people what's going on, posting the videos so that you can go back. If somebody said, I heard it one way and you said, I heard it a different way, just go watch the video. You can hear how it was said. And that's really important. So you got rid of hearsay, posting the minutes, approving the minutes, putting those strategies or putting those practices in place to keep making sure information gets put online. Tier, we talked about a street list last week. The first thing out of Tier's mouth. Hey, can we put that street list online so everyone can see how we grade the streets? Sure. Why even ask? Just say, put it online.
Right.
Joanna McDonald is really an unsung hero in our borough because she wants to tell the story. She was a reporter for Channel 10.
Right.
She knows how to stick to the facts, Edward R. Murrow style. And we just say, Joanna, just tell the town what they need to know. But not what we want them to say or what to hear. I don't tell her what to post. I just say, I think it's important to do this. Frank with his weekly crime stats. Well, now that people are used to them, you can start asking questions. Hey, a month ago, the numbers were like this. Car burglaries were really high. Now they're not so high. Why? Well, it's probably because it's getting colder. Right? Or, I don't know. Let Frank answer that probably on your last podcast. It is really about just people feeling that they're in touch. And so that, I think, is my best accomplishment is really took some convincing of people in the barrel hall, to think, oh, you sure you want to say that? Sure. If you don't want to say it, that's when we have to say it.
Is that, I'm just curious, like, and it's not so much factual, but more of an opinion based. Was it something is it just had been passed down the line in terms of like a lack of communication or information? Or is it just systems that needed updating? What was it? Why withhold the information?
Chad, it's human nature.
Yeah.
This is a part-time job. Everybody's got another job. And we're doing the best we can. And you have to take the wins where you get them. And the wins are a lot of times personal.
Right.
So for me, I'm a baseball umpire too. I'm used to being yelled at. Right? Dealing with somebody's trash, somebody's road, somebody's taxes is nothing like dealing with somebody's child that needs service or an opinion about the climate of the schools. That's really personal, right? So I was really used to that. So this is different. It's actually more decision making. But I'm going back to human nature. Yeah, the more you have a chance to beat on somebody, and I will say some people really beat on Colleen. I'll call it right out unfairly. We're a month away from opening a new police station that she worked her rear end off to get grants. The $5 million grant. Why is it not open? Well, part of the reason is the federal government closed. That last mile of fundraising was that $500,000 USDA grant, and just days before we had our progress meeting to just tell them, hey, we're almost finished. We need the money. The government shuts down, right? So we're just waiting for it to open back up so we can buy things like furniture. Right? So, but if I'd love to. I'm sure you will get a tour of the building. You care about public safety a lot. So, when anything you're trying to do well, you just get beat on. Right. Yeah, I wouldn't want to post it either. But again, I'm a guy. I'm used to it. It's nobody needs to get that kind of guff, but I just don't care enough, about that kind of stuff. So not everybody's like that, though. Yeah, not everybody's like that. It's not fair.
That's true. So I want to get into some of the issues that we've been seeing around town. I love hearing it from your perspective because I really think it's a different way of everyone has their view on things. So I guess Bancroft was a bigger thing, and it's not that it's gone away, but it's I guess less of the hearsay at the moment. And then obviously we came off the tail end of the homelessness stuff. What's your take on all of that? I didn't get a chance. I spoke to Frank and a tear about it. What's your take on the homelessness stuff? What's going on?
Well, which topic do you want to tackle first? Homelessness?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. I'm as frustrated as some of the folks that, came to those meetings and saying, it's just not right. I could be homeless. We should be doing more for our fellow man. Okay. That's great. But I think you've heard me say it even in the public meetings. That's a societal issue. It's almost bigger than the borough, an issue like that. We're responsible for roads, trash, fire and police, ambulance services, and the taxes to pay for that. Where other things fit into that, homelessness it's a shame. I grew up on government assistance until the day I was 18 years old. I'm the youngest of 7. I grew up in a house that was 640 square feet. 9 people, 3 dogs, 2 turtles. Right. So I got food delivered to my house every week. I had to get, I went shopping with Monopoly money, food stamp books at the time.
Wow.
So I've been food insecure. If I wanted to hang out with my dad, it was basically to go sleep in the garage that he would bum from his buddies because, he was too proud to, take anybody's help other than a few of his drinking buddies. But so I know that you can really get there fast. But at the same time, this is Haddonfield, and people do come here for the safe haven. I'll think about what my therapist says. You don't want to come home to strife. You don't want to come home to stress. Your home is your sanctuary. It's where you can relax and be yourself. And it's really hard to run out and grab a slice of pizza or sit out at a restaurant and a person's panhandling. There are places where it's expected. It's not expected here. So what do we do about that? I don't know. I do know that everybody kind of says the same thing. These people should get help and help should be available. Well, sometimes that help they have to be brought to the help because it's funny when you talk to people, and I try to remind people of this, and they say, I would take all the help in the world. Well, but you're of sound mind, right? You know how to make decisions. You don't have a mental health issue. You don't have a drug addiction or some other dependency. Schizophrenia is a big one where, you're really distrustful of everybody. And it could be well-earned distrust too. And we don't have the mechanisms to help people help themselves. All we can do is kind of check on them, do wellness checks. We just signed a shared service agreement, 2 of them. One with trauma services at Cherry Hill, when we really have to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, bring in a trauma expert, domestic violence, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to homeless services, we just signed on to a diversionary program for drug and alcohol addiction. So if we do have to arrest somebody, jail isn't the conclusion of an arrest. An arrest is us taking, it's what it's called, a custodial arrest. We take custody of the body, and then we do something with that. We want to take them to a service. Even if they get in front of the judge, we're signing on to services to say, no, you're not going to jail, you're going to rehab. And it's going to be court mandated rehab. This is some of Frank's tough love stuff, right? To say this, if you're not afraid of us, are you going to be afraid of the judge that's going to say, pick your poison, pick your hard, that whole expression? Is your heart going to jail, or is your heart getting over your addiction? Mental health is a different animal though, right? And you don't really, it's not even you have a will, there's a way, if you've ever dealt with addiction, it's not about will, it's something's taken over you. Mental health is that same thing. So how do we get the tools to be able to bring the people to the services if the services can't come to the people? And that's what ordinances are for. So, I get the frustration of criminalizing homelessness. It's not criminalizing homelessness. It's really having the tools to protect people in town who are scared. We can work on the scared part through education and, compassion. The churches can do their part. Human Relations Commission is trying to put together, a series and bringing in experts to talk about why homelessness and what you can do and help. But that doesn't mean that's going to make you comfortable at 5:30 in the morning when you're trying to get that job before work, and you're a 5'2", 50-year-old woman, and there's 3 people sleeping at the gazebo, and that's the only place you got to run to get on the Kings Highway. That's an issue too. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with them being scared. There's nothing wrong with them calling the police, and there's nothing wrong with saying, I can do my part and still want a safe place to come home to.
It's fair.
And we have to balance all of that as commissioners.
Yeah. That's a task. That's definitely a task. So what Bring me up to speed on Bancroft. What's going on with that stuff?
So we just last month, I guess, we passed the pilot. We had the meetings with the school board. We're in talks with them about how we would help each other. Frank talked about one of the helps that we just did, help get the resource officer back into the schools. There are so many things you can do once you have a good relationship. And so we have to keep proving to each other through every interaction that, we're not going to let each other. It's not a us versus them. I work for a place. When they say, "Oh, you work for Wharton," I said, "Well, my check is from the trustees of the University of Pennsylvania. It's not my money. It's not Wharton's money. It's not Penn's money. It's the trustees." Right. And so it's that same thing. This is taxpayer money, whether it goes to the schools or it goes to us. We have a responsibility of those two governing bodies to do what's best for town. And it's not a competition. So it's really good. So where it is right now, we passed the pilot, which allowed Woodmont to lock in their financing because they have to be able to show their P&L, their pro forma to be able to get the money. So now that they have the money, I believe they're working with the State Historic Preservation Commission because they have to work with them anyway, so they might as well start there. One of the encouraging things I heard a week or two ago was that they came to the Historical Society and they pulled historical pictures of all the different buildings that had been on the property because they want to kind of be very honoring of respectful and honoring of the look that was there. And it's one of the reasons I really like that proposal. They took their time to understand Haddonfield, and I don't see why that won't continue. So now it's the planning board and Historic Preservation Commission to be able to kind of take a look at the materials and the look. It's going to be 3 buildings. It's going to be 96 units. It's going to be on 6 acres, but the materials, the style it looks, the way the roads are, the lights, all of that stuff. We still have a lot of say in that, and they know that. And so I joke about Woodmont and say the only thing they did is they bid on a project, and they sent a guy to describe it who was a little flippant and probably not the best spokesperson. But other than that, there's no. I've not seen a conspiracy theory. I haven't seen the follow the money stuff. Follow the money. These guys needed the pilot just to be able to get their financing. Right, they're a business just like anybody else. Sure. And so I'm hopeful and actually confident that when they come with the design in front of us through the planning board, that we'll have a lot of say. The planning board has shown with their whole process with Pannoni for the master plan, they listen. They'll be very deliberative, and they're not on a timetable. They're on the get it right timetable, not on the, there's no gun to anybody's head at this point.
So do you feel like that has been, I don't know if calm down is the right word, but are people a little more at peace or accepting of what it is?
Yeah, Chad, that's a great way to say it. They're at peace. I keep quoting my fellow commissioners. Frank has a thing that says a negotiation where no one's happy, but they do it again is probably a good one. And we had to do it twice. We had to renegotiate. We had to negotiate and then renegotiate with them because of an overturn in the courts. So we've already been to 2 rodeos with these folks. I think I wouldn't use the term resigned. I would think, you come to peace with it. Knowing that, and I'll do the math on the open space part, was Bancroft was, I used to know these numbers off the top of my head. So 19.3 acres total. And when you divide the school board, which is our land, and it was wide open, as you can see it right now, wide open with all the buildings gone. We tore down the Lindens on the other side, wide open, but they all have buildings. Then you have Lulworth Hall, that's sitting there. Between dividing out Lulworth Hall, trading a larger parcel in Barwood and that whole Radnor complex for the piece that the school board is building on now, plus the 7.3 acres that we've saved, we actually turned 19.3 acres into 21 acres of open space. The coconut shuffle came out to our benefit. Now, 5 of those acres are going to have a gymnasium and an extra field on them. Lulworth Hall has been settled, and they're almost finished. Apparently, they're almost finished their interior gut, and it's not a gut like you think. They're taking out the non-historic pieces that over the years Bancroft built. They took the claw tubs. They didn't take out the claw tub. They built wood around it and made a desk out of it. So these guys are pulling the wood out and finding claw tubs. They're finding ornate woodwork behind drywall. They're finding banisters that were just closed off with drywall on both sides. They have to rip all that out so they can get to the bones, so they can start building it up. And when Woodmont's finished, not only will we have Woodmont, we'll have a brand new road that's going to be wider from Kings Highway to the bridge on somebody else's dime, which is great. So all in all, it's a win. And then it's hard to explain why rentals are so much better for this town than housing starts. You're in the mortgage business. Right. So Haddonfield's never really experienced in probably 60 years a lot of housing starts. It's not like Ryan Homes comes in and builds, 35 properties and, has the show house and then starts building lots. If that happened, we would be suppressing house prices all around the rest of town because everybody wants new construction. And for all those to hit at once, it's insane.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane on my pocket, on your pocket. And rentals don't do that. And rentals, it's funny, they'll pack apartments for kids. I live in an apartment. I'm right here, and I'm in Haddonfield Manor right now. And there's one family in the building, and it's all 2-bedroom apartments, right? And those are the quietest kids in the world. Every kid's quiet, but it's really hard to do apartment living with a family because you're going to have the neighbor banging on the door and saying, "Shut the damn kids up." Right. So that's not a conducive environment. I don't care how good the schools are. And the numbers really do bear it out around town that our clustered apartment complexes don't generate children. They just don't.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess then we move towards some of the other stuff that I think have become more of a. So we did the Bancroft, we did the homelessness stuff. I want to shift a little bit to celebrations and some of the event stuff. And I know that was a little bit trying and a lot of. Do you think the fireworks will ever come back?
No. But that doesn't mean a sky show's not coming back. So I'm going to break some news. No, I'm going to break some news for you. One, we are a built-out historic town made out of wood. The school district's insurance company doesn't want it to want fireworks on the property. We had land when we owned Bancroft to shoot it off when the schools were no longer viable to shoot off, right? Yeah. And then we sold that land. And so the only little parcel of land we have is that like parking lot next where you can fish in Hopkins Pond. And we'd have to cut some trees back to be able to shoot up the fireworks. And we could burn down birdwood. And you know what? Janet doesn't want that, right? So we're not happening there because residents do have a right of first refusal when, their house could catch on fire. They have an opinion. You don't always get an opinion. They get an opinion. So there really isn't any place to do fireworks anymore. And we're not the only town that's in this boat. Haddon Heights hasn't had fireworks in a long time. They offloaded to Oak Lynn because Oak Lynn has a park. Heights has a dump, just like we do. And it's not that you're going to set the dump on fire. It's got one road in and out. If something did happen, God forbid, and I'll only mention it for 1 second, it's like the Washington Avenue issue with Halloween. You can't.
You think you're just going to get away with 1 second?
For the greatest of intentions, you can't make it so a fire truck or an ambulance can't get to somebody in need. I wouldn't want somebody to die just so we can all watch fireworks. It's just the way it is. But I'm saying we've already secured a drone show for next 4th of July in conjunction with celebrations. So, it's just we jumped on it as a borough because they were filling up fast and we have the credit. But celebrations will fundraise for that. They'll pay for that, like they do the tree lighting and the hot chocolate that they're going to be doing in a couple weeks, like they did for the 4th of July parade. They pay for the mummers. The celebrations does. For the parade. I like to put it like this for any event. and it might be a little bit different from my predecessor, not just Colleen, but I think Neil had a different take on it. Jeff had a different take on that. Tish had a different take. I think of the town as we provide the canvas, you provide the paint. Like we're providing the street, we're providing the trash, we're providing the security. You might have to pay for it depending on the type of event, how big it is and when, you know, but we'll provide all of that. You provide the idea, you provide the, you know, the excitement. We just are going up for vote next week, our first for-profit street closing event. It's a New Year's Eve ball that Sparrows and Kings Road want to close off part of Mechanic Street, you know, to have that. I'm good with that. If I were king of the world, I would close off Mechanic in that parking lot once a month.
Yeah.
And offer it out to somebody to do something with it. Like, again, we provide the canvas, you provide the paint. So I'm all for the events. Now, events do come and go. You know, I spent a lot of money in my 20s getting model trains, you know, Lionel trains, and they're worth nothing now, right? So, you know, because some interests come, some interests wane. The car show is not one of those things. We've been talking with the Runnymede, you know, the car people to bring the show back. There's just a reality that we can't just put pieces of wood out to block the road again when you're going to have 1,000 people on the street. We have to bring the heavy dump trucks out, the fire trucks. They're not just there for show. They're there for somebody who's got a screw loose to get in a car and go plowing down Kings Highway. That's a whole different ballgame these days.
Yeah.
And that's why our volunteer in our police auxiliary, God bless them, but they can't arrest somebody. And nowadays, with the events that you see in Collingswood, they had a great it wasn't this Halloween, like Halloween before. I was in line with my kids waiting to go to the haunted house, and then they told everybody to go home because there was a big fist fight, and a lot of kids came, and it's because they didn't have a police presence. They only had volunteers trying to keep a crowd of people. They're not trained in it. And sadly, this is what our society, you know, to go back to almost like linking it to the homeless issue, it takes people with know-how and authority to keep peace. And sometimes that costs money. If on the schedule we have to pay overtime. Yeah.
I mean, the fireworks, it'll be missed though.
Oh, I'm sure. I love the smell of fireworks. Yeah. But there's something to be said from a fundraising standpoint to have, and Matt Ritter, if you're listening, the Subaru logo for 30 seconds in the sky of a 20-minute show, and that pays for the whole thing.
Listen, I'm all for that, man. If anyone knows about fundraising, I did it in 10 days, so I get it. When you want to do something and you got a purpose and a passion.
Oh yeah, your cameras. It only took you 10 days to raise the money, right?
That's it, man. That's it.
You know, the Turf Committee. They were dedicated. They raised $600,000 or something like that, you know, to put turf out on the, you know, to turf the high school and anniversary field. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good segue, Dave. So I want to know so you have children. You had children that played sports in town, I take it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for people that don't know, what is the relationship with, so the fields, Crowswood, and some of the others, they're owned and maintained by the borough, right? Or no?
They're owned by the borough. They're jointly maintained.
Jointly maintained by the individual organizations?
And the borough.
And the borough, right. So, I mean, I'm just going to be honest. Crowswood is a mess.
Oh, my God. Really? I'm surprised.
It's a mess. So, is there any other place we can do this stuff with the kids? I mean, it's a mess.
Well, and that's so we're in the process of completing the first round of a 2-part grant that we're going out with the DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection.
Yeah.
It was our town dump. It was capped in the 70s, and it was capped to the quality of the 70s, which was a lot of like ash, you know, a lot of packed leaves, a little bit of stone, a lot of rocks. Last time they did Kings Highway, they pulverized the rocks. There are slabs of Kings Highway under there, you know, that look like were dropped in because it was cheaper than hauling it to the reclamation place, probably in Belmar.
Wow.
And that was just fill. So they put heavy things on trash, then put dirt and grass. And, you know, it worked for a while, but it stopped working. And the DEP we had to shut down fields because not just glass comes up. We got springs every once in a while, hinges, stuff that you just threw away. And I always say that if there is a puddle, that's because the cap is still good. Everywhere else, there's not a puddle. The cap has already failed, and the water's just going down there. So it is a long-term process. So the study is to determine how much of Crow's Woods we have to peel off and redo with drainage and concrete. That's what the DEP will pay for. And then we're trying to get more of a grant to say, what do we put on top of that? So the borough is saving up about $2 million to put dirt and seed to do it again, right? Put dirt back on top of that concrete, plant seed. There's quite a few folks in town that would like to see turf. There are gardeners that would like to see something else, but no mistake about it. We have to get rid of the garden that's there now, just like we have to get rid of the not the gazebo, but they have that. It's like a gazebo, whatever they call that thing. We have to tear that out. The parking lot's got to go. Like, we really have to peel off the layer. But before you even do that, you have to create alternatives. So we got a grant to execute. We're going to be building a playground down off of the end of Wayne Avenue at Radnor, on the corner where the old 70-foot baseball field was. We're going to kind of move and slide Farwood Field up a little bit so that the guy across the street doesn't take so many foul balls, off his car. And so we can put a real fence and have a real first base line. But then past that wall, going towards Wayne Avenue and going down Farwood, we can create 2 complete rectangles. So at least we'll have 2 more grass fields to offer. Now we're also trying to time this so that by the time the school board's next turf field comes online behind their new gymnasium, that is high volume field, because that will be turf. Between those 2 rectangles, doing the work of keeping Centennial Field going, and there's a little turf program going on there. I've heard they've started fundraising for that, and even the little field by Rileywood and Mountwell Playground will get by, and that will give us the relief to be able to peel the skin off of Crow's Woods and redo it.
Got it.
So when people say, is that happening next year? No. I mean, next year, and maybe in the next 18 months, we'll get those 2 new fields built down at Farwood. And then we can start to think about shutting down Crow's. But the goal is not to leave everybody high and dry, but there's definitely going to be a little belt tightening.
Sure.
But hopefully not, because that extra turf field, that can, between that anniversary, it can really take a lot of weight off the other fields for it. Now, as a parent, you can then decide if the turf field is safe enough for your kid to play. My kids played on turf field, and I never really thought about it. But, it's another factor you have to factor in. If you, as a parent, you make your own decision about your own child's safety. Again, we're providing the canvas. You provide the paint. We're providing the field. You provide the opportunity for your child to use that field. Not our decision. It's yours.
I want to ask you a question about taxes, because you're a tax guy. Right?
Well, I'm the director of revenue and finance. Sure.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a question about this. So I'm going to go with the naive question and approach with this. I like being dummy a little bit. So Haddonfield has very, very high taxes, right? Real estate taxes relative to the general area and just in general, right? What's your take on the use of those taxes in terms of where it's allocated? And do you think that there are other places we could be putting it? Does a lot of it go outside of Haddonfield that we may or may not know about? I'm just curious.
Well, so let's look at our tax bill. So when I was on the school board, when I was chair of finance, I had the business administrator, Mike Catalano, do the dollar graphic and take a dollar and then cut it up into your pieces. And when I became the revenue and finance commissioner, I did the same thing to Alex, our CFO. And I said, look, I want the dollar graphic to show what percentage of everything goes to it to make sure that it is balanced. So let's take your overall tax bill first, 57 to 59%, depending on the year, will go to the school board. That is, and I won't get in trouble this time. When they do a budget, whether there's a shortfall, they're doing the best of their dollar, right? And that's their decision to try to be able to stretch their buck. But when they come to a number, $41 million, the borough guarantees we're gonna collect taxes and pay that $41 million ask. That might not be all the money they need, but that's what the state allowed them to collect from the residents. So they get 100% of that, no matter what we collect. If our collection was only 50%, we'd have to borrow to make sure they're whole. Same thing with the county. It's 26% to the county. 4 times a year, that $4.3 million check, I got to sign and take a little picture of it. That goes to the county. That's our county tax bill.
How does that compare to the surrounding areas?
Everybody gets about the same. It's like CCMUA at that point. The percentage doesn't really change.
No, I meant dollar amount.
Oh, the dollar amount? Well, our property values are higher.
Well, I'm just asking. I'm just listening.
Yeah. So
I'm purposely being naive.
Funny. Well, I would say from a volume standpoint, it's from a percentage standpoint, it's the same. So then it's just about the
percent. Yeah, I figured that.
So it's kind of like CCMUA. Everybody pays that. It's just you own 1 sewer line, 2 sewer lines, 3 sewer lines. And then you just pay everybody pays that $88 or whatever, $86 plus the $2 processing fee, no matter how you pay for it. It always gets my goat, but that's besides. And then you have the library. So then you have library tax, you have the open space fund tax. If you are a business in the business improvement district, you pay a business improvement tax. Everybody's taxes get paid, and then the borough takes the shortfall. Right. So our taxes
what's the business improvement? How is it expensive to have a business here? I never even knew.
Well, not really. The business
be worse
is, I think, about $250,000 a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not an onerous tax.
So the landlords are doing better than
sure. Yes. Well, they own property. It's not just depreciation and using it to borrow another dollar.
Listen, owning a piece of Kings Highway gets passed down through generations.
Yeah, of course, it is definitely generational wealth to own a property. So all of that, the borough is 17 to 18% of your tax bill, and of that, about 40% goes to the salaries of the police, and then paying the stipend program for the firefighters because they're not employees, they're volunteers. But we pay them to stay overnight, the EMS, and then you have public work, which is another about 43%. There's just more people in public works than there are police. And then so you're looking at 86% of your tax bill salaries for everybody. A negligible amount in the people in the building, like the clerk and the deputy clerk and the tax collector and that stuff. A lot of those are shared services, so we're only paying fractional tax assessor, fractional tax collector. Our CFO he's the CFO of Voorhees. We pay a shared service for him to do our book too, because we're much smaller than Voorhees. So a lot of good, smart decisions to get really high quality people at a fractional unit. And then the rest of it goes to the roads and it goes to field maintenance, and it goes to, no matter what about the fields, because that's where this whole conversation started. We provide the fields, and then specialized and specific maintenance per sport field is what they're on. So we'll mow it, but we don't touch the chemicals. So they'll bring the people to do the chemical weeding, and some ground needs softening, like the clay at Little League Complex. Well, they basically take care of the whole complex themselves as a shared service with the borough. But the chemicals we don't touch, but we mow it. 2 things we provide that most towns don't. They make the organizations pay. We pay the electric bill for the places that have lights, and we pay the water bill to water those fields. And so they're really big expenses that the borough has. So our electric bills are high. Our water bills are, not so bad, because some of the meters are grandfathered in when we sold the water company to American Water. but some of them we pay full freight. The Senior Citizen Center paying for the. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
No, I had to mute. Only 4 people can ring my phone. I gave birth to 3 and my boss. So it happens to be my son Jack that can ring my phone. Everybody else, it never makes a sound. So all of the stuff that you want the borough to do is kind of encapsulated in 12%. And you know what's bigger than 12%? Our uncollectible tax.
How big is that?
So 13% of our budget.
Well, dollar-wise, I'm curious.
Dollar-wise, well, 13%. It's a little over $1.3 million, $1.4 million. And that's in senior freeze, veterans exemptions, uncollectible. The school board land is assessed a value, but they're the schools. We don't collect taxes from them. We don't collect tax on our own land. And who are the 2 biggest landowners in town? The school board and the borough, right? Sure. So as a percentage of, you could be making money, Bill, right? We don't, because we don't tax ourselves. So some of it is uncollectible because we're taking care of seniors. And the senior freeze program, there is a rebate, but we don't get back dollar for dollar. It's fractional. Same thing with veterans freeze and veterans exemption taxes. But since the 2 biggest landowners are untaxable, it's a big part of our bill. It's money we forego because we're using the land for public.
I want to ask you a very obvious
boring. You asked me a question that was boring.
No, it's not boring. I'm going to ask you in a very non-technical, very obvious way, right? Because our property values are so high, right? Many would think, do we have, based on the population, more money, right? But that's I'm running through an obvious question of, this is what people probably think, right?
Yeah.
Such high property values, is there necessarily more money available? Period.
No. And it's funny because it kind of goes back to that school board thing. When they set their budget, $41 million on local taxes. If we hit a windfall, they don't get any more money. They get what they asked for, right? The borough might be able to use some, start filling some of our surplus accounts, but it doesn't mean the school district gets any more money. We're not allowed to give them more money because that would put their tax rate above the 2%. If we got a windfall, we'd have to give it back because we can't raise taxes more than 2%, plus and minus, depending on whatever, little window that the state gives us from year to year. There's some exemptions every year. But here's where it really comes down to, and it hurts the school district way more than it hurts us, and that's the state funding formulas. So, Haddonfield doesn't need money because they have money. That's what you just asked, right? But we're based off of municipal borrowing, a lot of times based off of median income. So our median income is $178,000 or something like that. That's the median family income in Haddonfield. So that means half of the households of 4,500 households make less, half make more. The school district, it's on average household income. So the person like me who's close to the median, I'm on the good side of that median, but not Bryce Harper side of the median, right? And they're dragging it up. But the point is, Bryce Harper might make $30 million a year, and his household income is part of that equation. But his house is still only $1.5 million, and we're still only collecting $28,000, maybe $30,000 a year in taxes from him. He could make $100 million a year. We're still only getting $30,000 in taxes off his property. So the fact that any of these formulas look at income and not property value is insane, because we can't. Nobody's knocking on his door and saying you got to give more. Well, police and fire are. They say give me $50, right? But that's not how it works. So salary and family income. It's why our property values are high, because it's really more supply demand. Our house isn't made out of different material than anybody else's. It's just a more desirable location. But so that's where the skew is. We got people make a whole lot of money, but you can make a whole lot of money and live in a 3, 1.5 on South Edge Park, and God bless you. You're putting it all in the bank, or hopefully you're doing some societal good with that money. But you don't have to. That's on you.
What areas do you think need more funding?
I'm sorry. Again, I don't even. I'm going to have to tell them.
No,
I'm just going to tell them. Look, don't do that. Hold on a second.
What departments, in your opinion, could use some more money?
1 second.
Yeah.
And I'm a dude. I'm in a call. I'll call you back when I'm done. And yes, I do call my son dude. But what departments need more money?
Yeah.
Well, it's a philosophy of mine. And that is, I want people to have a reason to live here past their kid's 18th birthday, in their senior year. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see money to go into adult recreation. I won't call it our seasoned citizens.
How many leave, Dave? I'm curious. Do you know?
Not as many as you think, but eventually, I'd say more throughout that 4 years of college. It's not, people who put the sign out when the last kid is, they were probably holding on, right? But there's also a thing to say, there's no reason to stay because it's boring. Our downtown has become way more vibrant over the last few years. That's awesome. The last administration really put a lot of effort into, bringing events and just helping the downtown, the partnership for Haddonfield, that got really strong with the hiring of they've always had an executive director, but I think that symbiosis really helped. So that's one reason to stay. I would put money in the Mabel K Senior Center and the 65 Club. I'm really looking forward to the gymnasium that the school district is building, because I asked a very important question. Hey, is it used for classes during the day? They say, no, we're not going to walk across the campus just to go to gym. So that means that building's it's available, right? During the day for the people that get chased off the track at 8 o'clock in the morning. Hey, what if you could go into that building and walk on the second floor track? What if you could go in there and it's basketball, half the year, but every day at 8 a.m. is set up for pickleball. And you get three, if you've ever been to the Croc Center, their basketball courts, it's 3 courts of pickleball going. We could sell a membership to a person at a really reasonable $5, $20 a week, right? No skin off your teeth to have that social interaction before you're 65 or 70 and you start going to Mabel K. It's just, hey, I work from home. And you get really used to that lifestyle. That's what I really want. And that's kind of reflected. And I'm going to pivot you to the next question, which is, the master plan and all that. The whole making it more attractive for rentals, making it more attractive for accessory dwelling units is another reason for you to be able to afford to stay. So we can work on the affordability to stay in town. Plus, we can work on things to actually do by staying, whether that be the gardens or that be some sort of physical recreation, a walking trail, the guys that use the kayaking up the Cooper River. There are so many things, but access to them, either you don't know them or it's not enough to hold. But every single one of those little reasons to stay starts to get a nice mass, like a core mass. And then you'll say, you know what, I'm not selling my house. Haddonfield's my home. It's my community. It is my identity, and I'm sticking it out. And I'm not putting that sign in the lawn. And what does that do? It also helps a house not have children for longer, which then helps overcrowding. And so I just described about 15 levers that we can pull, and even a little tiny pull on one lever is moving another lever, and you're not sure which one it is. So it's a constant game of getting it right. You get it right. Get it right. It's like a balance sheet. It's a snapshot moment in time. But these levers themselves are income statements, right? Sometimes it's going to cost. Sometimes we're on the good side of the money. Sometimes we're on the bad side of the money.
Well, I'm going to ask you,
guy, so I'm using things that you'll understand.
No, well, I want to ask you a couple. Do you think the police have enough money to run their department?
Do they have enough money? That's a loaded question because I don't know. They're the experts. Are they doing what they can with what they have? Yes. Do they have more? Sure. I mean, you proved the worth of the cameras. The license plate camera. We wouldn't have bought them. It's the same thing as the teacher grants that the HET does for the students. The school district wouldn't buy a thing that makes that takes your pottery clay and makes it all soft again for the next class. It's just it's a luxury. Mm-hmm. But the HET bought it, and now the art class is taken off because it can teach more pottery. The license plate things, we're providing more information to other towns. It's a way to share. So the next time we pick up the phone and say, hey, can you help us? They say, sure, because you helped us, we'll help you. So they could always use more money. You could always be safer. We could have more cops to do things like write tickets instead of write tickets until something else happens, and then they're going off of their ticket writing station for the next 4 hours. People say, why don't you write more tickets? Well, we don't have enough cops to just keep writing tickets. And in the budget, we were going to add another cop, but instead we helped out Officer Ernie stay in the high school. But what did we say with Officer Ernie? When he's in the school, he's the resource officer. And then he has to go downtown and supplement our other class 3s, Officer Leverick, to help with not just keeping the kids rowdy. You ever see how many illegal left turns are happening on Chestnut Street and, and off of Tanner? Like they make the weird left off of Tanner. They make the crazy, insane left at Saxby's. They're trying to keep that at bay too. So yeah, sure. We could have more cops. It's not necessarily more money, but we could certainly have more cops to make some of the habitual things that drag us down a little bit. Unruliness on the sidewalk, speeding, people rolling stop signs. That's just a matter of manpower more than anything. And so, sure, police, firemen, same thing. We've done a very good job making sure we're manned, but we are going to be approving going after a grant to study making some changes at the firehouse so that they can recruit more women firefighters, so they can have their own bathroom and their own shower facility instead of this whole sharing thing that they do now. That will definitely help town have more volunteers. We provide the canvas, you provide the paint. Like we provide the bathroom and the shower and the changing service in that building. And then you go as a volunteer organization, go recruit more women.
How would you grade us fiscally?
Physically? Well,
no, fiscally. Financially.
Oh, very healthy.
Yeah.
Oh, very healthy. But people say, follow the money. The money's not the money's stretching like rubber right now, right? Like it's fiscally, we are very sound. And sound is sound policies to not get ourselves in trouble, not overextend ourselves. Could we have some things that other towns have? Sure. But what are those towns for going to have the thing you want us to have? Like in your personal life, a lot of people hear money's not the object. It's and so it's hard to say, hey, we got to tighten our belt a little bit, or we're investing in that cute downtown. We're investing in our school system. They're the two economic engines of Haddonfield, right? Sure. The quaintness of the store, the quaintness and the safety of the town.
Now the football team, Dave.
Well, of course. The football team. It's funny you say that. Last night, in my memories of today on Facebook, it's me watching Haddonfield score their 4th touchdown against Camden on the goal line, and we won that game. It was I think it was the Foley brothers' 2nd state championship, and then we're on their way to North Jersey to kick rear end, and they beat Camden. Well, it'll be this Friday. But that's another reason why people move here, right? The reputation of our schools isn't just academic. It's the #1 athletic school in New Jersey. It just came out.
I didn't know that.
We have 2 behemoths in our tennis, boys and girls tennis, and our cross country and long distance running, our swimmers. We just don't lose in some of those sports.
Yeah.
But then again, our plays are fantastic. We have the Golden Kazoos, from the Mabel K Center. The biggest volunteer organization after the Rotary in this town is probably the 65 Club. All the retired, men that use that club, they don't just sit around. They sit around saying, how can I help Haddonfield? And then they go out and do it, over and over and over again. I'd give them more money. Give money where money's doing good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't have anything to give. So,
So what I'm curious, and not that this is going to be the last, this is going to be the first of many. What are you focused on at this point? Even though I know you didn't want to be mayor, what do you want to accomplish as mayor? How do you want to cap this off for you?
Well, keep up the strides we've made in public trust. It's a big one for me. And that is making sure our minutes go out, making sure those videos go out, making sure one of us is explaining the decision. Either explaining the decision we're going to make and then have nice lively debate where we actually listen. And I think we've proven that we are listening. We are making adjustments based off of feedback and then explaining ourselves, because you're going to have to vote for us eventually again. And we'll have a nice big track record, and you can go back to every video. You can watch me yell at one guy for, when I was on the school board. You can play that on loop. I don't really care. It happened. Right. So that's important to me. But coming up, we have a new master plan. The first complete revamp since 1984. And now just last work session, we got back with the consultants to say, let's prioritize it, not in terms of what do we do, it's what ordinances do we rewrite to set the guidelines and the goalposts. So that's the work that's going to take more than the next 4 years. 4 years isn't enough to get them all done. Our first priority is going to be the things that people complain about the most: tear downs, oversized houses, impervious coverage, creating, rain issues. So one of the things of the master plan is if you are pre-existing non-conforming, I don't take any walls down, guys, because if you do, you're going to get reset to the zone, and you're going to have to, especially if you tear it down, you're going to have to go back to less than the zone, because we're going to have a 2-tier zone system. One, if you are staying in that footprint or in that pre-existing non-conforming, you could keep with the side setbacks or maybe the impervious coverage variance that somebody got like 15 years ago. But if you even take a wall down, tough, you reset it. And not only reset it, you're going to be under a different level. So it's not that the house you take down, the next one's going to be bigger. Actually, the next one's probably going to be smaller, because most of our houses are pre-existing non-conforming. But when it gets a little smaller, it gives you more land to do an accessory dwelling unit. Or if there's a societal good in certain zones to go back to that footprint because you're making a duplex. And these are wrongs that we have to right. So here's the wrong. There was a duplex at the corner, I think it was Lincoln and Walnut, had a fire a few years ago. It was a duplex. And because it was in the wrong zone off of a 40-year-old master plan, they couldn't rebuild it as a duplex. They weren't allowed, even though it was a duplex forever. So what did they do? They subdivided and they built 2 single-family homes. Now, which one do we want? Do we want that? They basically took up all the usable land. But financially, they had to do that. I mean, you can't just say, oh, well, I had a fire, tough break. No, people are investing in these things. So, that's a wrong that could be righted. But then on the other side, these houses are getting, big is subjective, but impervious coverage isn't, right? Side yard setbacks, rear yard setbacks, they're not subjective. Those are things that are in ordinances by zone, and we got to stick to them. And that's what's going to get us out of it's going to help with it's not going to get us out of our winter mess. Climate change is real, and pipes aren't any younger than they used to be. So, so we can help to bring that manageability back in. There could be an incentive program to voluntarily put your home on the historic register. Maybe your tax bill is not going to be so high because we know it costs more to maintain a house like that, but the town wants that. So what happens? That 13% uncollectible tax starts to go up a little bit more. Like you're forgoing a little bit more, but for a good. So these are the things that we're going to tackle first. But certainly not. There's a whole list of things. Downtown, things you can do. Historic glass is a big issue, right? Like what is historic, especially in an industrial building like the high school, which is historic. It's in the historic district. Our high school is, a building, a restaurant that really doesn't want, old man winter blowing through their single pane glass. They want to put some insulated door on that thing so the patrons don't freeze. is that really going to affect the charm of the downtown? Maybe if it's super old, or maybe we can be a little bit more lax on that because there's a societal benefit to it, right? And it's not just the charm. Because if we can be a little more lax on that, it's because we've already expanded through spot historic preservation. Like we can make progress in one area and kind of let off the choke of the throat in another area because of its goodness. So again, you pull one lever, another lever's ultimately going to have to be pulled too, and you're constantly, making adjustments.
I love it.
I love it.
Now listen, man. If this wasn't telling that you're the right man for the job, I don't know what was.
Again, smoke's getting a little thick in here, Chad. And it's not just because I had beans for dinner.
Well, I thank you for joining us on what was originally your Haddonfield Talks. I look forward to having you on at least once a quarter. We got a commitment from everyone to come and talk about these issues, and have a happy holiday, and we look forward to talking to you again in the future, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I think you're doing a great job with this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Haddonfield, have a good night, guys. The full recap will be live on our YouTube page after this, and look for some reels coming out this week. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you again soon.
Yeah, hey, Chad, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
What's up with the real, tight zooms on your recaps? What's up with that?
That, Dave, is what they call AI.
All right, fair enough. All right, fair enough.
We'll see how you look soon, buddy.
Give me $1 smile. I know what I look like. I know what I look like.
Have a good night, everyone. Thanks, Dave.
All right, see ya.